The last unit in this course brings us into the late 20th century and the current time, an age of postmodernism. The aftermath of World War II brought peace and continued anxiety. The world was still reeling from the horrors of the Holocaust, and the tension over the spread of communism caused a Cold War between the USSR and the US. The post-World War movement of postmodernism was based on a skepticism toward any representation of reality that claimed to be universal or objective, a focus on the construction of reality through language and symbol, and an emphasis on the local in particular rather than the universal. In this art, this was expressed as a tendency toward irony, playfulness, contradiction, and tension, parody, pastiche, and an eclectic mixture of styles. During the war, European artists fleeing Europe congregated in New York and formed the New York School. A new style, abstract expressionism, included the artists Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, and Helen Frankenthaler. Jackson Pollock was known for his technique of dripping paint on large canvases. This is Autumn Rhythm and Number 5. His nickname was Jack the Dripper. Mark Rothko's abstract magenta, black, green, and orange has no defined subject matter. The viewer can determine what they see in the painting. Helen Frankenthaler created large abstract expressionist works. This is a photo of her in her studio in her 1952 work, Mountains and Sea. Pop art style was inspired by an irreverence to tradition with mass-produced images such as soup cans, beer cans, and flags. Andy Warhol, pictured here, is probably the best-known pop artist. Warhol painted every variety of Campbell's soup and many images of pop icon Marilyn Monroe. Other pop artists include Roy Lichtenstein, Jeff Koons, Robert Rauschenberg, and Klaus Oldenburg. Minimalism is a style of abstract art using geometric forms, usually squares, with no representation of an outside reality. Frank Stella described his work this way: what you see is what you see. Here is Stella's The Marriage of Reason and Squalor 2. Donald Judd used minimalism in sculpture. This is his Untitled. Assemblage repurposes found or discarded objects into a new sculpture. Alexander Calder created mobiles. David Smith constructed metal sculpture out of farm tools. Louise Nevelson used discarded objects and materials and painted everything black in her assemblages. George Siegel used plaster, cotton gauze, steel, wood, and vinyl to construct his assemblage, Bus Riders. Artists in the late 19th century didn't need to be realistic after the advent of photography, but by the late 20th century, artists like Chuck Close and Dwayne Hansen came full circle and created artwork by hand that was as realistic as a photograph. This is Chuck Close's big self-portrait that looks like a photograph, but it's a painting that uses the technique of pixelization. This is also a painting, Phil. Dwayne Hansen created life-size, realistic human images. If Tourist looks familiar, it's because it's currently displayed near the Starbucks outside the security in the Orlando Airport terminal. Earth art incorporates elements of nature in large open spaces. Total art includes installation art and art that may be immersive and interactive. Robert Smithson's Spiral Jetty uses natural materials to create a man-made jetty. Husband and wife Christo and Jean-Claude installed miles of white fabric in the California hills in this total art installation, Running Fence. The artist collective 1000 Hands installed Universal Everything in a London studio. Visitors can interact with the exhibit by uploading photos in real time. The Statue of Liberty Museum has an exhibit with a similar concept. Ernesto Neto's Anthropodino was installed in the Park Avenue Armory. This immersive exhibit is strewn with a maze of gauzy fabric that visitors can walk through. Luzana Hemmer's Border Tuner is a 2019 installation that crosses the US-Mexico border. People on either side can control beams of light and communicate with each other across the border. Street art or graffiti art is art that is not sanctioned in public places, created with spray paint, stencils, projected video, and flyers. Shepard Fairey posted Obey flyers on public places. Banksy, the anonymous British street artist, spray paints scenes like this on city walls. In 2019, Banksy's Girl with Balloon sold at auction for almost $1 million minutes before the canvas was remotely shredded in front of stunned auction goers. You can watch the video on your own. Postmodern architecture includes a mix of styles. Santiago Calatrava designed the Innovation Science and Technology Building for Florida Polytechnic University in Lakeland, Florida, and the Port Authority Transportation Hub at the World Trade Center, nicknamed the Oculus. Like visual art, music also became more experimental or avant-garde. The development of electronic music used synthesizers, electronic instruments, and computers to create new sounds. Composer John Cage experimented with aleatory music, or the music of chance. In his composition, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, he instructs any instrument or combination of instruments to rest for the entire piece. The music becomes whatever sounds are heard by chance in the performance space: a cough, a rustle, the air conditioner, whatever. The musical equivalent of minimalism included a work by composer Philip Glass, Einstein on the Beach. Listen to a few clips of this modern opera on your own. The postmodern move away from high culture to more accessible low culture included a rise in popular music. Leonard Bernstein's musical West Side Story featured two rival gangs in New York. Elvis Presley in the 1950s and the Beatles in the 1960s revolutionized music with a new style, rock and roll. Black Americans Ruth Brown, Fats Domino, Bo Diddley, Little Richard, and many more created a new genre of music, rhythm and blues. Beginning in the 1960s, critics began to challenge the canon of literary and artistic work and began including more diverse voices. Some of the many examples include Chinua Achebe's novel, Things Fall Apart, and the works of author Toni Morrison. Increased civil rights and awareness of inequity gradually opened up the art world to more women, people of color, the LGBTQ community, and a more global audience. Yasumasa's Muramura's portrait, Futago, is an example of the postmodern characteristic of irony and changing the meaning through context. Muramura references Manet's 1893 Olympia, but changes the gender of the reclining nude. Judy Chicago's installation at the Brooklyn Museum of Art, The Dinner Party, is a 3-sided table set for $39, with names of influential women from history named at each plate. An additional 999 women are listed on the tile floor. Barbara Kruger's 1989 untitled piece, often referred to as Your Body is a Battleground, dramatically speaks to the social and political debate over women's reproductive rights. Black contemporary artist Kara Walker explores pluralism, the idea that different groups find different meanings in art. In her paper cutting, A Work on Progress, the silhouettes show two post-Civil War Black women in a relationship not usually discussed in history books. The former enslaved woman on the left is being swept out by the free woman on the right. Betty Starr's 1972 The Liberation of Aunt Jemima challenges the stereotypes of Black women in popular culture and advertising. Interestingly, the image of Aunt Jemima on the pancake box and the stereotypical Uncle Ben on the box of rice have only recently, in 2020, been removed by the manufacturers for perpetuating racial stereotypes. El Anutsi used recycled metal liquor bottle tops from Nigeria to create the 2006 tapestry Between Heaven and Earth. When displaying this piece, the artist forms and manipulates the tapestry in different shapes, so the piece is always changing. Sharon Neshat explores ideas of identity in her work Rebellious Silence from her 1994 Women of Allah series. The woman wears a head covering, yet her face is revealed, covered in the script from an Arabic poem. The juxtaposition of the images reveal the complicated tensions between religion, female liberation, and politics. The art world continues to embrace the spirit of postmodernism, incorporating new voices and a global audience. In this current century, we can only imagine what new art forms, technologies, and ways of expression will emerge.